come from. The truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are them go so confused the call. Now by area why no better. We are them go so confused the call. One guy's oh yeah why no better. Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now to us as so. Now your friend on a nine come as them. Only papi obeka nasembia. So I want one over you. Everybody was afraid. And when you nan to my cottage again nine. Once my boy dumping one and but who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Aku draw for nina dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow Germansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo. When you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku drop for you na dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi sa udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you. Now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day them go resist.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to my view show here live on TodayGhanaNews TV. Eventually, we are back on air again after a short break, and we are back as usual to bring you very, very important topical issue as we normally do on Monday evenings. As you know, we bring you topics ranging from social issues, political issues, sometimes even religious issues, and all other matters that relate to our well-being as a people and as a community. And this evening is not going to be any different. This evening, we are bringing you yet another interesting conversation that is quite important, but mostly glossed over or mostly overlooked. Before I actually even introduce the topic, I would like to share with you a little experience or a little conversation that I had with someone, I think, about a few months ago. We were having a rather light-hearted conversation, however, but about a very interesting topic, interesting and important topic. We were discussing the rising reportage of domestic violence all over Ghana, and how the stories seem to be, shaping a pattern of mental instability. And like I said, it was a light-hearted conversation, but midway through the conversation, the person said something rather interesting, and that has stuck with me for a very long time. The person told me, Albert, the issue is actually the fact that um, we all are patients of mental health, and that we are only separated by the degree to which it affects us. And that has since stuck with me, and I've been thinking about it for quite a long time. Um, there's some of the things that I think about is the fact that if indeed this person is right, and we all suffer in various degrees, suffer mental health in various degrees, why is it the case that discussions about health hardly mention mental health? Actually, more importantly, why is it that when we talk about health, the first thing that jumps to our minds is physical health? But when we talk about mental health, we usually have to qualify the health with with another word in front of it, mental health, before we can tune our minds to the fact that we are actually talking about mental health. These are a few of many questions that should agitate our minds, things that should cause us thinking and things that should cause us to talk about. And this evening, these are some of the topics that these are some of the questions that we are going to be exploring when we are joined by our guest for today. But before we welcome our guest for today, we would like to welcome our viewers and listeners who join us every Monday evening on the show. We like to say a very big thank you to our listeners who are joining us from Sakina Information Center in Tatali. Also, we welcome our listeners on Adelimai Information Center. Also, we welcome our listeners on High FM 93.7 in Achimai in the Eastern region. Also, we say a welcome to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, and to all our viewers and listeners who are joining us on all social media platforms. We say a very, very warm welcome to you. Indulge me a little bit further. Let me bring you this important announcement. Over the past few weeks ago, we had the privilege of hosting another host on this network, but on a different show in the person of Francis. And we talked about a show that is going to be coming up soon, which is sometime next year. And we are happy to bring to you some important developments with regards to this particular event that is scheduled to take place. Over the weekend, the Francis Consult LLC officially launched the first ever African Art, Food, Music and Cultural Festival 2026, scheduled to take place in Armenia in August 2026. The festival promises to showcase the very best of African creativity, cuisine, music, and cultural heritage on the global stage. Francis Consult LLC is inviting interested exhibitors from Ghana and across the African continent to register and participate in this historic event. Full details on registration, participation guidelines, and visa procedure will be announced next week on all our programs on Today Ghana News TV. So, if you are listening to us, stay tuned and stay focused, and we are going to bring you the information next week so that you can participate. But let's go to the topic for discussion for today. Today, we are privileged to be joined by the director of Serene Wellspring Avenue, which is an NGO in Ghana. He's in the person of Mr. Kwajo Kwatin. Mr. Kojo Kwatin is director of a mental health organization named Serene Wellspring Avenue in Ghana. And he is going to be helping us to discuss this very, very important topic, yet much neglected. Welcome to you, Mr. Kojo, for joining us on the show this evening.
It's a pleasure to be here, Albert. I'm glad to be on your show.
We are happy to have you on our show. Before we begin, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm wonderful. It's been a very cool day in Ghana today. So,
Interesting. maybe the right atmosphere and right timing to discuss mental health then.
Yes, it is.
You said you're doing great.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, I suppose.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. Since we are discussing mental health, I thought it's important that when we talk about our state of being, we qualify it so that we can carry our listeners along. And we always remind ourselves that when we talk about our well-being, we're not only talking about our physical well-being, but we're also talking about our mental well-being as well. Now, before we go into the topic proper, Mr. Kojo Kwatin, you are the director of Serene Wellspring Avenue. So we know your name, we know you are the director. But who is Mr. Kwatin as a person?
All right. So I'm actually a person with lived experience, which means that I live with a mental health condition. And that's what birthed this whole journey into mental health and mental health advocacy. So as a teenager, I fell into depression. At the time, I didn't even know what depression was. So, and I knew next to nothing about mental health and mental illness. Unfortunately, back then, when someone had a mental health condition, they were either institutionalized in a mental hospital or a psychiatric institution, or as happens in Ghana, they are kept at home or left to wander the streets to their own detriment. So when mine started in secondary school, I actually suffered silently because I didn't know what was wrong with me. All I knew was that I was sad. I was unable to concentrate on my studies. I slept a lot. I didn't really feel like eating most of the time. And everything was gray. The colors in the world had sort of dulled out. So it was in university that people realized that there was something wrong with me because I shifted from depression to hypomania. When you hear depression and hypomania, you should know that you're talking about bipolar disorder. I think it's actually been a topic of interest for some time now, especially in Ghana. So it was when I was hypomanic that I came out of my shell and I was behaving hyperactively and erratically. So people realized there was something wrong with me. Then I was actually sent to the hospital for diagnosis. Unfortunately, I was misdiagnosed. So the medication that was given to me was not helpful. And let me chip this in that in most cases, when people present psychiatric symptoms or symptoms of a psychiatric condition, more than half the time, they are misdiagnosed. This is not just in Ghana, all over the world. More than half the time, they are misdiagnosed. So people who should be receiving help, in most cases, end up being put through a very discomforting, a very traumatic experience. Now, fast forward, I actually couldn't finish my university education back then. I actually withdrew from university in 2006. And thankfully, this year, I was able to graduate with my bachelor's degree 19 years after I withdrew from university.
Congratulations, Aslim.
Thank you. So having lived with bipolar disorder, I've been through a whole lot of experiences, some good, some bad. 2 years after I was misdiagnosed, I was properly diagnosed by one of Ghana's best clinical psychologists. Her name was Arabas Fadede. Unfortunately, she passed away 3 years ago. And she was the one who actually put the right name to my condition. And that was what began my journey to recovery.
Okay.
So
Okay.
having gone through the experience, the frustrations of the mental health care system, neglect from family, from friends because of lack of knowledge about mental health and the issues to do with taking care of someone with a mental health condition, and having experienced the rejection that a person can have from society, the stigma that people suffer because of having mental health conditions, I grew to become more interested in helping others who are going through similar situations. We actually formed. Sorry, I thought you wanted to come in.
Oh,
So
no,
we
no.
actually formed.
Yeah. So, I wanted a little clarification. I mean, well, I think you've touched on it briefly, because when I speak with people, there are two sets of people when I interview that come across. People who are doing something, who are doing a job because they have to do it, and some people who are doing something out of a personal motivation, something that is in it. In your case, you run and operate a mental health organization, and you've given the background to it. One could have said that you could have chosen to, start a football academy. You could have chosen to do something, but you chose to do something that directly, that you directly had to deal with growing up as an individual. At what point, and even after you got your help, there are lots of people who are, who probably would have gone through, would have had your experience, and once they got their help, they would, dust their feet and try to run as fast as possible to join people they probably feel that who have left them behind. But you have gone back to, start something to help others. At what point did it occur to you that you needed this, or something that is probably in your case more like a calling, something that's a calling to you that you needed to do? At what point did you reach that? Did this occur to you?
So the inspiration came from two sources. As I mentioned, I saw Dr. Abbas Fadede, and her approach to her work was very much like a calling. She saw a lot of people for free. She didn't charge them a penny, and she was always available. No matter who came to her, she never turned the person away. I even recommended people to see her, and she saw all of them. So she was one of my inspirations. The point I got to that made me realize that this was my calling was when I interacted with a number of people who have various mental health conditions. They told me their stories, and I realized that we had so much in common. First of all, we suffered silently for a while. Secondly, when we received help from the psychiatric institutions, sometimes we suffered because either we're given medication that gave us very, very harsh reactions, or were misdiagnosed, or we didn't receive consistent medical attention. So after interacting with these people, I realized that no, I mean, there are a lot of people out there. It's not just me, it's not just a few others I've come into contact with. It's not even those we see roaming the streets. There are a lot of people who are suffering silently, people who are well dressed, go to the office in their suit with their ties, people who are feeling suicidal, people who are depressed. And so I realized that with my wealth of experience and the knowledge I've acquired over the years, one of the best things I could do with my life is to serve those who, for some reason, are struggling but don't know where to get help from. So these are the two sources of inspiration, and that's what led to my calling as a mental health advocate and peer support person.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you said you started this about 12 years ago.
So we started a support group in 2013 February. So next February will be 13 years. It was an informal group. We met just to talk. There was no plan or any schedule to anything. We'll just meet and we'll share our experiences and people will talk. And our numbers grew monthly. We met once a month and we still do meet once a month. And so over the years, I got to know people. And as we shared our experiences and we formed friendships and bonds, we realized that there was so much that we could do with our support group. And that's what led to forming the NGO. Also, over the years, we've grown into a social capital of mental health professionals, people with lived experience, and their caregivers. And we have even allies from other NGOs who are part of us. So realize that no, I mean, we can't just be an informal group. We can do better. We can go out there and do a lot of advocacy, speak to churches, to schools, to have sessions with companies, with corporate bodies, having the mental professionals on our team and people with lived experience to share their experiences. We can do a lot more than just meet once a month. We can go out and do outreaches and talk to people. So that is what actually birthed the idea that let's be registered. Let's be an organization that is can be recognized as a formal body. And so, I mean, all these things came together. It wasn't planned or anything. We just grew and realized that no, I mean, we've come to the point where we can actually contribute to national development, because mental health actually is an adverse has an adverse effect on national development because it reduces human productivity. So
let me take you a little back to the beginning, the early days when you started. How were the early days like? Were there some obstacles that you had to overcome at the initial stages when you started about 12 years ago?
Yes. So what happened was that one psychiatrist, Dr. Eugene Dodoy, he was the main pillar behind forming the group, because those who came together were people he knew. So it was an informal meeting. It was really enjoyable. I think the one obstacle we faced in the beginning was having a regular meeting place, because we had to move from place to place over the years. There were times when our meetings were interrupted because we couldn't find a place to meet. So that was the major challenge we had when we started off. But aside from that, we really had a good time. We would have a lot of conversations over light refreshment, and a lot of people would leave very, 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 very satisfied and would feel much better about themselves. Now, I want to share this thing. There is one medical student who wanted to withdraw because she was diagnosed with a mental health condition. And Dr. Dodoy said, no, I mean, why should you withdraw from medical school? So he had one person who had lived with the same condition for about 25 years share her testimony with this young medical student. And she was so sure. He said, so you've lived with this before I was born. And then that encouraged her to stay in medical school. And she's graduated. She's now a house officer and practicing medicine. So these are some of the positive, feedback and some of the good things that come out of, organizations like ours.
These are some of the stories that that interest me. In my former life, it's not as if I've lived two lives, but previously, I worked with an NGO much earlier in my life, and what I found rewarding was the fact that at various points there are stories that you can tell, people that you know personally, and people that you feel that your contribution has touched somebody's life and has improved somebody's life. And I found that it gave me a lot of fulfillment when I encountered stories like that. you've already told us the story about this medical student. Well, probably no longer a medical student.
Yeah.
But do you remember any other story that, when you think about it, it gives you the feeling that this has been a worthwhile journey embarking upon?
I remember a level 200 student who joined our group at the very initial stage. She came and she actually cried at one of our meetings. She talked about how she wanted to end her life. She didn't know why. She just felt very gloomy, very moody. She would cry herself to sleep at night. And one time she climbed to the top of her hall and wanted to jump off the building, but something just held her back. She was in level 200 at that time. Now she's completed her first degree, done a master's, and she'll complete her PhD very soon.
Wow.
And throughout all this while, she's been an integral member of the support group, and she's been receiving support. I mean, as the normal story goes, her family don't even know her condition very well. They don't understand it. I think that's something I'll speak to later on during the show, about how ignorant so many people's loved ones are about their condition, and the sort of benign neglect. I'll say benign because it's not intentional, it's not malicious, but they don't understand. So, but to get back to, she's almost done with her PhD.
Wow.
She is the head of the statistical department in one of our government institutions.
Wow.
And she's doing very well.
That's
She had
interesting.
she had some difficulties this year, but she's recovered. And that's one thing about mental health conditions. You may relapse from time to time. There is no assurance that you would continue doing very well for the rest of your life. There are times of relapse, and that's one very integral aspect of understanding someone who has a condition. Yeah.
Wow. See, this in the introductory part, when you're talking about yourself, you talked about the fact that you were misdiagnosed, and you said this wasn't peculiar to your situation, and that lots of people who go for treatment, not just in Ghana actually, but all over the world, face some kind of misdiagnosis. Now, with this background and with the work that you are doing, what would you see is some of the unique practices, or what are some of the things that you do in your organization that probably are not typical to the quote unquote the traditional practices and that other people visit when they have challenges like this?
So first of all, we have a mental professional who is very crucial or integral to our organization. So the difference between what we do and what orthodox medicine does is this. In Ghana, we have quite a shortage of mental professionals, especially psychiatrists. At the moment, as at June 2025, we have 84 psychiatrists in the country who are practicing, according to the Mental Health Authority. And so we have just a portion of the country covered. Out of the 16 regions in Ghana, 9 have psychiatrists, 7 don't have any resident psychiatrists. So, and most of the psychiatrists are based down south in the Greater Accra region, Central region, Ashanti region, and recently we have some in Ho and a few other places. But most of the psychiatrists are resident down here. So, but the point I'm making is that people who see psychiatrists see a lot of people in a day, as many as 50 or more, if my information is right. And so when you see a mental professional or a psychiatrist, they will not have the time to listen to your whole story. You get it? So they take the history, and usually they also involve someone who knows your relative or a loved one or someone who brings you to. So they take part of your history from that person. And in my case, I think the problem was that whoever went with me gave some inaccurate information, and that's what led to my misdiagnosis. Also, with bipolar, it's difficult to diagnose because the symptoms you're exhibiting at the time is what they usually diagnose you on. So it's very tricky when it comes to bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
The difference with our organization is that we are not a medical institution, so we don't do diagnosis and treatment. We don't have that accreditation or that authority. What we do is that people who come to us are accepted into our fold as one of us. They tell us their experiences, they share their stories. If they've already received help from a medical institution,
Okay.
we get to know what medication they are on, whether it's helpful, whether it's not. If it's not, then the mental professional who is with us would assess the person and probably, ask the person to come and see him as his or her doctor. So then the person would receive treatment, but it's absolutely up to the person. There's no coercion whatsoever. The thing is that people get to tell their stories from beginning to end, and we have time to listen to everything. And a lot of us who have shared similar experiences also, tell them our side of the story to let them know that this is what's helped us over the years. And this is what we suggest that you do when you are going through this and that. And we exchange phone numbers. People have been calling me. I've been calling others. So there's that camaraderie and that bonding that we have, the rapport we've established over the years. So the difference between the orthodox system, the medical system, is that there isn't much time to go into everyone's life story. And even if there is no time. You see, another problem is that with the psychiatric institutions and the medical centers, you might not see the same psychiatrist every time you go. You might see a different person whenever you go to the hospital. Some private hospitals have made arrangements so you see the same psychiatrist, but usually in the government institutions and other institutions, you'll be seeing a different person each time. So it's difficult to have that relationship with the mental health professional. But in our case, the relationship is there. And if anyone needs help, they just have to reach out to any of us and we'll direct them to whichever facility they need to go to. So we are there 24/7,
In your experience, how in what form do you tend to get people come to you? Is it people who have relations who have heard about you and who bring their relations to you, who are probably patients who need help, or people who personally have come to you by themselves with their challenges and who need support? Which of these do you tend to record the most?
So our organization has gotten known by word of mouth.
Okay.
People tell others about their experiences when they join us. And because we also have mental health professionals as our support base, as part of the group, we have members who are mental health professionals. Some of them, after seeing their clients, refer them to the support group. We also have a situation, we have psychoeducation sessions online every month, second or third Sunday of the month, depending on the availability of the facilitator. So people join from all over the country. Some even join from outside of Ghana to listen to our talks. We have every time we treat a topic under mental health, and we have people join us on Zoom from all over. So when they get to know about our activities, they would want to join us. And that's also been an avenue where people actually trickle in to join and become members of our organization.
Wow, interesting. I think this would be a good point to take a break. We'll go and we'll take a short break, and then when we return, we would go into the broader discussion on mental health in Ghana, and what the situation is like, and what some of the interventions can be moving forward. So, if you are listening to us anywhere in the world, you are listening to my View show here live on Today Ghana News TV. This evening we are discussing mental health, and we are joined by the director of Serene Wellspring, which is an NGO located in Ghana, whose core duty is to deal with mental health, and they have been helping us understand their journey so far and some of their experiences, in the mental health industry in Ghana. So if you are joining us, you are not late yet because there's still more to explore. So take a seat, sit back, relax. We'll be right back shortly to continue with the show. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Beyond Makeup, where beauty and confidence are taken to a whole new level. Here, we pamper and take care of you like royalty. Enjoy our gentle waxing, refreshing facials, and soothing massages that melt away stress and leave your skin glowing. We also offer professional makeup services, manicures, pedicures, durable nail extensions, and perfectly sculpted ombre brows. We give you the most perfect soft lashes that highlight your natural beauty. At Beyond Makeup, every visit is more than just a service. It's an experience of care, elegance, and transformation. Locate us at Chado Last Stop or call us on 0559 933 505 or 0506 474 911. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Beyond Makeup, your journey to wellness starts here.
Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna go home. Yeah.
Greetings, my name is Ras Mubarak. I'm a former member of parliament in Ghana. On the 18th of August, we're going to begin a very historic journey. A journey driving through 39 African countries that's going to take us well over 4 months, driving for 600 hours, over 40,000 kilometers. And this initiative is endorsed by the government of Ghana. Why are we doing this? We want our continent to unite, and we want our people in Africa to be able to travel within Africa without visa restrictions. You see, Africa has enormous potential beyond anybody's imagination. And if we are united as one people, one continent, if there are no restrictions for us to travel to each other's country, you have no idea what we can achieve together. The economic benefits are enormous. The cultural exchanges, the opportunity to, study and learn and tour and see each other's country is just amazing. And so we want you, my friends, to support this. And we appeal to African governments to support the initiative so that together we can make Africa visa-free now.
Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna.
Well, indeed, Africa has so much potential, but Africa only has potential because Africans who are in Africa have a little potential. And the only way to unlock that potential is when we are of sound mental health, which would enable us to contribute to the overall development of Africa and tap into the huge potential that Africa has. That is why this evening we are having a discussion on mental health, discussing the journey of the NGO headed by Mr. Kojo Kwating who is the director of the mental health NGO Serene Wellspring Avenue in Ghana. And he'll be joining us shortly so that we continue the next part. But before we continue the next part, we would like to say a very big thank you to our listeners who are joining us all over the world. We say thank you to our listeners on Sakina Information Center in Tatali, Northern Ghana. Also say thank you to our listeners on Adelima Information Center. Also, we say big thank you to our listeners on High FM 93.7 in Achimhima in the Eastern region. Also, we say thank you to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, and to all our viewers and listeners who are joining us on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram. We say a very big thank you to you for making time to join us this evening. And also, we would like to remind you of this announcement that we would like to bring to you. And it is the fact that over the weekend, Francis Consult LLC officially launched the first ever African Art, Food, Music, and Cultural Festival 2026, which is scheduled to take place in Armenia in August 2026. The festival promises to showcase the very best of African creativity, cuisine, music, and cultural heritage on the global stage. Francis Consult LLC is inviting all interested exhibitors from Ghana and across the African continent to register and participate in this historic event. The full details on registration, participation guidelines, and visa procedure will be announced next week on all our programs on Today Ghana News TV. So if you want to participate and benefit from it, stay tuned and we will bring you the needed information. So now let's take some comments from our viewers and listeners who are joining us all over the world, and then we'll go back to the next part of the show. The first one is from Mavis Boating. You say, good evening. You are watching on YouTube from Lisbon, Portugal. Please kindly ask him how do they fund the organization and who are the sponsors? All right, Mavis, I would put that question across. I suppose you want to help with some funding, but I would ask you when he joins us. Frima Oye, good evening to you. Good evening, you see. You're watching from Manthania Who. This is a very good and educative program. I am learning a lot from Mr. Kwathing. Thank you very much, Frima, for joining us on the show this evening. And now we have NDC Diaspora Union. Wow, this is a first-hand information. Please kindly ask him what kind of support he thinks the government can give them. You are watching from Amsterdam, Holland. Thank you very much, NDC Diaspora Union, for joining us. Asempa Hineboachi, you say good evening, and you are watching from Achimhima in the Eastern region. In the Eastern region, please kindly ask him what does he do apart from the NGO work. I would ask him, Asempa Hine, do you have a job for him? But I'll pose your question. Then we have Jefframa TV. You say greetings from Rara in OT. Does he think we should have mental health facilities in all regional capitals? I think he probably would have answered that question partly when he mentioned a few places where they belong, but where they are. But I would put that question to him as well when he joins us back on the show. Well, the next one is from Kweku Ivo. Kweku, you say, good evening, Albert. Good evening to you as well. And you are saying good evening to the host, to the guest. Please, kindly ask, please, what kind of support do they give to persons who exhibit signs of mental health in social media? Okay. I don't want to mention names. That's fine. That's fine. We'll put that question across. Sikapa family, you say good evening. Good evening to you as well. I am learning a lot from the program tonight. You are watching on YouTube from Jumapo near Koforidia. Thank you very much, Sikapa TV, for doing the watching. Zibodi, you say I'm watching from Sunyani. Who are some of the notable people in their organization? Okay, interesting. We'll put that question to him when he rejoins us. Lady Mal underscore 2. You say, good evening, Albert. Good evening to you as well. This is a very interesting story we are watching on Twitch from St. Petersburg in Russia. Thank you very much, Lady Mal, for joining us this evening. We are grateful to have you join the show. Nyame Yao Boy, good evening. Good evening to you, Nyame Yao Boy. You are watching from Nkwanta in OT, popular tea seller. Good evening to you and the people that you're joined. The program is very important, especially those of us living in conflict zones. Your program is also live on Adelima Community Information Center in Tutupene and KJB. Thank you very much, Nyame Yao Boy, for that. Bertrand, you are saying beautiful topic. Thank you very much. Good for all of us. You are watching from Mbe in Tanzania. Thank you very much for doing the watching all the way in Tanzania. MFA no. Sorry if I got your name wrong, your other name wrong. You are listening from who in the Volta region. This is very educative. More of these. Thank you very much, MFA. We are very happy that you are enjoying the show this evening. And thank you for those who haven't shared their comments. We are grateful to you too for joining, and for all those who have shared comments, we are grateful to you as well. Keep them coming. So let's welcome back Mr. Kwating for the next session, next segment of the show, where we would broaden the discussion a little to include mental health in Ghana. Mr. Kwating, welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, we have quite a number of questions from our listeners. I'm a little conflicted. I don't know whether to take their questions first or to continue with my questions. But since they are listeners, they are quite important. So let's see how many of them we can go through. I think maybe Boating wanted to know who your funders are, who funds your organization, who are the sponsors of your organization.
Yeah, so currently we are looking for partners to fund our organization. The biggest impediment we have now is funds. You know, as a non-governmental organization, we rely on funds from donors, and that's what we are actually looking out for. It's actually been an impediment to our programs because we really want to do community outreach starting from next year. So far, we've been doing peer support and psychoeducation, which doesn't cost us much, but community outreach really will cost us. So far, we've been funding from our own pockets, and we are actually reaching out to donors who would want to support us.
It's important you mention this especially that we had a comment from Nyame Yao Boy, who is joining us from Nkwanta, and who mentioned the case of conflict areas where people in conflict areas like Nkwanta, the kind of support they would need. So if you have more support, these are the kind of places I presume that you would want to expand to and probably engage more with people in those places.
Yeah.
Well, and NDC Diaspora Union wanted to know what kind of support you think the government can give you.
So whatever the government does is channeled through the Mental Health Authority.
Okay.
So they are the umbrella body that decides how government funding is spent. What we would need at the moment, first of all, is funding, and then also a partnership in getting the right resource people for our projects and our programs. So these are the two major things that we need right now.
Interesting one from Asempahene Buachi. Asempahene Buachi wanted to know what else do you do apart from your NGO work?
Okay, so I think as I mentioned before, I graduated from university recently.
Mhm.
So fortunately, the Mental Health Authority had this program that they are running. So I'm a part of that program.
Okay.
But aside from that, most of my efforts are into the NGO because we really want to um, set a good pace from next year. This year we just registered the NGO and we are sort of building the momentum for what we want to do next year, and that's what's taking up most of my time.
All right. Jeffrey TV wanted to know whether you think that we should have mental health facilities in all regional capitals.
Okay, so we're actually moving away from psychiatric institutions to community-based mental health care. And so what we are doing now, well, not my organization, but what the government is doing now is that instead of building psychiatric institutions, they're actually creating psychiatric wards in the general and district hospitals so that people will not be alienated from. It's like we're actually separating them from human settlements. That was the mindset of mental healthcare at that time. I would even say it was healthcare because Ankafo, Pantai, Accra Psychiatric, they were set up in remote areas of Ghana to
lock them away.
Yeah, they were locking them away. That was basically during the colonial era. What happened was that they would lock these people away, and there was very little known about mental health condition at the time. There wasn't much research. The medications that we have now were not there, so they're just locking them away. They are saying that mental health care should be a humane one. We want people to feel that they are part of us. So instead of separating them from the general populace, we want to keep them as part of the general healthcare system. And that's what they have in most countries abroad. They don't have psychiatric facilities that lock people away anymore. We have hospitals that have psych wards so that people will be treated as human beings who are being taken care of, and also to remove the stigma that you are not correct. I mean, there are people who don't want to go to Accra Psychiatric Hospital because they are struggling.
Yeah.
But when you tell them, they say, no, we don't want to go to that place because we don't want to be stigmatized. And we are trying to move away from that kind of stigma and alienation of people who are struggling with mental health conditions to actually a more humane and more comfortable treatment plan for them. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we don't really advocate for the building of psychiatric unless it's a rehab center.
Okay.
That's what we need more of, rehab centers, but not really the psychiatric institutions. No.
Okay. Yeah, rehab centers. That's more or less like some of the things that you are doing, like having people in some cases also like having peer support and having people to be able to talk to people in a very congenial environment, so that you can have frequent contact and spend more time with people. That's quite interesting. Kwekwivu wanted. He talked about people who show signs of mental health on social media. I don't know whether that is a thing. Is that something that has come to? Is that something that exists? People who show signs of mental health on social media.
I have actually read a few postings on X. I'm not going to mention any names of people who have expressed struggles that they've had mentally and emotionally. There are people who have put up suicide notes online. I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, a medical student in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology actually put up some thoughts that he had and tried to end his life. But fortunately, before he jumped off the building, some people came and helped him out. I've also heard of certain celebrities who have actually, put out messages that suggest that they are going through some form of struggle. And then we've had people who have put up unsavory material about themselves, pictures and all that online that suggests that they need some psychiatric help. So my attention has been drawn to some of these things, but I think the caution I'd like to send out is that these are human beings. Let's treat them with the dignity and respect that they deserve. The fact that someone has a psychiatric condition or a mental health condition or is struggling psychologically doesn't mean the person is less human than any of us. So let's not make them into a spectacle or a show where we watch and laugh and have fun. No, people actually need help, and the best response we can give them is the empathy and the support that they need, and then finding them the help that they need. But we've been seeing signs of mental struggles on online social media and other places. Yes.
So if I get you right, in most cases, these are usually like a cry for help,
Exactly.
Public cry
Yeah.
for help. So instead of
Exactly.
ridiculing people, we should see it for what it is and extend
Yes.
the support. And if we don't have the expertise, get people who have the expertise to
Yes.
pay attention to this. Interesting. Let me see whether I can take one more or two. Then we will come back to you. Then we'll run up. I think Jibodi wanted to know if there are some notable names or notable people in your organization, or some. I think probably what the person is trying to put, the question the person is trying to pose is whether there are some professionals that you are dealing with, in your
Yes.
organization. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this is one of the reasons we were encouraged to form this NGO. We have psychiatrists, we have psychologists, we have pharmacologists, we have community mental health officers, we have public health officers, we have a lot of people from various medical backgrounds. So this is the reason why we have mental health advocates as well. So we have quite a number of professionals. We even have psychiatric nurses as part of our NGO. So these are there are lots more. I can't remember all the professions. We have public health officers and all that. So these are the kind of social capital we have to be able to perform our services and start programs that will be beneficial to the general public.
All right. Let me take these last two comments, then we'll come back to you. Nanetta, from you say, I don't even know what to say. This is an educative program, and you are bringing us greetings from Tatali in northern Ghana and greetings from from Sakina Information Center. Robert Kimpe, you say, good. I am watching from Paris, France. These are the kind of programs the media houses should broadcast on their platforms. Thank you very much to all of you, and we are grateful to you for listening and for tuning in to the show this evening. Mr. Kwarteng, I think I have a lot of questions for you, but unfortunately, we are running out of time. So let me lump all my questions up into one for you and see how you can deal with it. Now, you have operated in this arena of mental health in Ghana for 12 years, almost 13 years now. Just a few years ago, you celebrated a decade since you started this journey. In your experience, what is the atmosphere like in Ghana in terms of mental health? What are some of the challenges that still exist in that area, and what are some of the things that we should put our eye on so that we are able to give mental health the deserved attention that is needed, so that we can all move together as a unified society?
Okay, so I think the shortfalls we have in Ghana are basically logistical, financial, and we also lack the workforce that is required to deal with it. But the atmosphere is mostly apathetic and that of desperation. Apathetic because there's so much ignorance about mental health. When you talk about mental health, people immediately think about mental illness, but mental health is not necessarily an illness. There's a difference between mental health and mental illness. Mental health at the basic level, is how well you think, feel, and behave. Our thoughts, emotions, and behavior are intricately linked. So it's just like blood pressure. Everyone who is living has blood pressure. In the same vein, everyone who is alive has mental health. Now, we have certain rubrics that we use to measure our blood pressure. If it's 120 over 80 or 115 over 75, we know it's normal. So that is okay. If you behave in a certain way, if your thoughts are a certain way, and your feelings are within a certain level, we say you are okay. When blood pressure goes to 200 over 120 and it doesn't come down on its own, you need medication. Okay, then you say you are hypertensive. In the same way, if it goes to 75 over 55, you say we are hypotensive, you are giving medication. In this same logic, when someone starts thinking like killing themselves, wondering why they have to live, if they lose interest in things that they used to love, if they are slow or they don't feel like getting out of bed, or if they are hyperactive, jumping around, if they are violent or behaving out of the normal, then we say that the person is not mentally healthy. The person has a condition. Then we move the person to a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist to be diagnosed. So mental illness and mental health are different. Mental health is something we all have. Mental illness is something that some people may have at some point in time. According to an expert who's a psychiatrist, at a meeting I went for at the Mental Health Authority recently, he said it is expected that half of the world's population, about half of the world's population, will struggle with their mental health at some point in their lifetime. About half of the world's population. And as of now, about 1 out of 7 people in the world has a mental health condition. That's about 1 billion people worldwide have or are living with a mental health condition. So these are things we need to address. And so what we need right now is not just money, but education. People need to know. In Ghana, we associate psychiatric problems with spiritual influences or spiritual sources. So many people seek faith-based interventions for their loved ones who are struggling with mental illness or mental health conditions. And it's not help. I'm yet to hear of anyone who has fully recovered from a prayer camp or some, spiritual facility or spiritual place. Most of the time, they get back feeling a little better and then they relapse. And when they relapse, they are sent back. It's usually when they've deteriorated to a very, bad level that they are sent to the hospital for treatment. And the worse you get, the longer it takes to treat you. So right now, our main focus is to get people to know that mental health is something we all have. And many of us will struggle with our mental health at some point, whether it's a broken heart that you have from a failed relationship, or you've lost your job, or your marriage has ended, or you are struggling financially. At some point in time, almost all of us will struggle, if not all of us in the world will struggle with our mental health. So it's very important that just like our blood pressure or our glucose level or even our body temperature, we keep a close eye on our mental health because we all have it. It's just that some people will be diagnosed as having a mental health condition that they would need treatment for a long time, probably their whole life. But every single person will struggle with their mental health at some point in their lifetime.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm getting a little carried away. I'm tempted to ask you one more question, but I won't do that because my producer will take me on. So just before we go, do you have a short message that you would want to give to our listeners? Something from your heart that you probably want to tell our listeners and viewers who have made time to join us this evening about mental health?
So I just want to tell people to reach out to people they've not heard from in a while. People, sometimes someone just comes to mind, you just don't know why, but you're thinking of that person. Just give the person a call, reach out. Sometimes when you reach out to them, they'll tell you that, oh, I've been struggling, oh, Charlie, I've been, missing in action, I've lost my job, this is what I'm going through. people who are struggling, usually people with mental conditions struggle silently. That is most of the time. They struggle silently because sometimes they're embarrassed to talk about their situation. So the best thing we can do is to show love. We should love people no matter how difficult our own circumstances are. And from my life experience, I have really found it to be very fulfilling to check on people and to help them. You might not even have the money, but just listening to their problems can take a burden off them. So please, let's love one another. Let's check on people. Let's call people to find out how they are doing. It's not always the finances that matter, but just your voice or your concern and your care can help the person feel better. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Mr. Kwathen, thank you very much for making time join us this evening. This is one of the best shows I've hosted in quite a long time, and we are grateful that you made time to join us this evening to discuss something that could have been sensitive if you've discussed it in a very lively manner, in a way that lots of people can identify with. And as you can see from the comments from our viewers and listeners, this is they appreciate the information that you have provided here, and so are we. We're also appreciative of your time and the effort and the knowledge and experience that you have shared with us and our viewers this evening. We are most grateful to you.
You're most welcome, Albert. It's been a lovely show. I've really enjoyed being on it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. So then enjoy the rest of your evening. So for all our viewers and listeners who made time to join us on today's show, as you heard from Mr. Kwathen, make time to check up on people. If you have not heard from a friend for a while, just take a phone and give the person a call. Send the person a WhatsApp message. Check up on them. Sometimes just a hello or a hi is all it takes to solve a potentially very, very difficult situation. Let's reach out to people with love, says Mr. Kwathen, and the world is going to be a better place for you and I and for everybody. So we are grateful to Mr. Kwathen for making time to join us this evening on MyView show and to discuss these topics with us, as we are grateful to our listeners and viewers who joined us on all platforms. To those who joined us on Second Information Center, we are grateful to you. We are also grateful to our listeners who joined us on Adelema Information Center. Also, we are grateful to our listeners who joined us on High FM 93.7 in Himai. Also, we are grateful to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra. For all those who joined us on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, and all other social media platforms that you have joined us this evening, we're grateful to you. Before we go, let's take one last bite at our announcement for you this evening. So over the weekend, Francis Consult LLC officially launched the first ever Africa Art, Food, Music and Cultural Festival 2026, which is scheduled to take place in Armenia in August 2026. The festival promises to showcase the very best of African creativity, cuisine, music and cultural heritage on a global stage. Francis Consult LLC is inviting all interested exhibitors from Ghana and from the African continent to register and participate in this historic event. Full details on registration, participation guidelines, and the visa procedure will be announced next week on all our programs on Today Ghana News TV. So stay tuned to us so that you don't miss out on this very important announcement. So thank you again to all our viewers and listeners. Until we come your way again next week with yet another exciting show. Stay blessed, stay safe. God bless you. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Good night.
The country where I come from, the truth is an irony. Just like animal farm, justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth?